Vidura uvacha.
Bhav Silavatam Shrishtim Daksho Duriti Vatvasaha Vidvesham Akarat Kashmat Anadri Yatam Majam Satim
Vidura uvacha. Shavatam Shrishti.
Daksho
Vidvesham
Vidura Uvacha. Vidura said, Bhave towards Lord Shiva. Shilavatam, among the gentle. Shreste, the best. Daksha, Daksha. Durtirvatsala, being affectionate towards his daughter. Vidvesham, enmity. Akarot, did exhibit. Kasmat, why? Andritya, neglecting. Atmajam, his own daughter. Satim, Sati. Vidura inquired, why was Daksha, who was so affectionate toward his daughter, envious of Lord Shiva, who was the best among the gentle? Why did he neglect his daughter Sati? Please repeat. Vidura inquired, why was Daksha, who was so affectionate towards his daughter, envious of Lord Shiva, who was the best among the gentle? Why did he neglect his daughter Sati? Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. In the second chapter of the fourth canto, the cause of the dissension between Lord Shiva and Daksha, which was due to a great sacrifice arranged by Daksha for the pacification of the entire universe, is explained. Lord Shiva is described here as the best of the gentle because he is not envious of anyone. He is equal to all living entities, and all other good qualities are present in his personality. The word Shiva means all auspicious. No one can be an enemy of Lord Shiva's, for he is so peaceful and renounced that he does not even construct a house for his residence, but lives underneath a tree, always detached from all worldly things. The personality of Lord Shiva symbolizes the best of gentleness. Why then was Daksha, who offered his beloved daughter to such a gentle personality, inimical towards Lord Shiva so intensely that Sati, the daughter of Daksha and wife of Lord Shiva, gave up her body? Om Jnana Timirandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagujatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vidamdam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Vidamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Brindavaneshvari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Dibyad Brindaranya Kalpadrumada Śrimad Ratnagara Singhasanasto Śrimad Radha Srila Govinda Devo Prastalabi Sevyamano Smarami Krishnot Kirtana Gana Nartana Paro Premam Ritambo Nidhi Dhiradhira Jana Priyo Priyakaro Nirmatsaro Pujito Shri Chaitanya Kripa Baro Bhuvi Bhuvo Bharavahantarako Vande Rupa Sanatano Ragoyago Shri Jiva Gopalako. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis who are always engaged in chanting the holy name of Krishna and dancing. They are just like the ocean of love of God, and they are popular with both the gentle and the ruffians, because they are not envious of anyone. Whatever they do, they're all pleasing to everyone, and they're fully blessed by Lord Chaitanya. Thus, they are engaged in missionary activities meant to deliver all the conditioned souls within this material universe. May there be good fortune throughout the universe, and may all envious persons be pacified. May all living entities become calm by practicing bhakti yoga, for by accepting devotional service, they will think of each other's welfare. Therefore, let us all engage in the service of the Supreme Transcendence, Lord Sri Krishna, and always remain absorbed in thought of him. If the Krishna consciousness movement spreads all over the world, and if by the grace of Krishna everyone accepts it, the thinking of envious people will change. Everyone will think of the welfare of others. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj prays, Shivam Mito Diya. In material activities, everyone is envious of others. But in Krishna consciousness, no one is envious of anyone else. Everyone thinks of the welfare of others. The ultimate shreyas, the ultimate welfare for everyone, is to be fully reinstated on the platform of pure love of Godhead. Kardama Muni blessing Devahuti after she served him so selflessly, giving up her entire life as an opulently situated princess, the daughter of Swayambhuva Manu. He said to her that, I am advanced in devotional service, mystic yoga, and I am awarding to you what I can see and experience. And just see how wonderful this is. And Prabhupada writes there, to bestow love of Godhead upon another is the greatest way to show love to someone whom we presume to love. Love in the material world is cheap. Actually, it is an illusion. Malati, along with Shyamasundar and others who had never met Prabhupada, went to the San Francisco airport to receive Srila Prabhupada, by the way, his very first in his entire lifetime airplane flight from New York to San Francisco. Shyama says we had heard all about from Mukunda and Yamuna, who were childhood friends. They grew up together in Oregon. And it was like, wow, I was skeptical, but seeing how my friends were just so much converted to Krishna consciousness and were so much sold on Swamiji. And then when I saw Srila Prabhupada for the first time, I had known I had made the right choice. So Prabhupada's first address to the devotees and these newcomers at the newly established 518 Frederick Street address, temple, was that there is no love in this material world. And Malati and Shyamasundar, they were like part of the movers and shakers of the love and peace movement. They knew all of the local luminaries. It was by their friendship that Chet Helms of the famous Avalon Ballroom, the Family Dog Auditorium, donated or just gave, yes, you can have your mantra rock dance here. They were intimately associated with the Grateful Dead in particular. So when Prabhupada said there's no love in this material world, love is for Krishna, she didn't feel like upset or like challenged or angry by this, but she actually felt relieved. Wow, that's wonderful. Because we're searching for love, and we think that this new hippie movement is all love, 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 but it's not love. It's just false. But not that Prabhupada is just decrying that. Quite to the contrary, the majority of what he was doing or imparting was love of Godhead. Paramdras vanivartante, by experiencing a higher taste, automatically the lower taste, which you're attached to because that's the only thing you know, just immediately falls away. That is the true platform of renunciation. Just like the six Goswamis, they kicked off all association of aristocracy as insignificant. And what was the practical manifestation of that love of Godhead? To deliver the poor, fallen, conditioned souls. They accepted loincloths, treating themselves as mendicants. But were they in a destitute or in a poverty-stricken, in a suffering condition? They were always merged in the ecstatic love that the gopis felt for Krishna, which is the topmost form of love, and bathed always and repeatedly in that ocean. Lord Chaitanya, in particular, blessed and made known to Raghunath Das Goswami his incremental pleasure, his increasing pleasure as Raghunath Das Goswami increased his practical renunciation. But that was parallel or based upon the fact that Raghunath Das Goswami was entering deeper and deeper and being allowed or invited and urged to come into the more inner circle of the service of Srimati Radharani in particular, under the authority and instruction of Lalita Devi Swarup Damodar Goswami, as Rati Manjari, who Raghunath Das Goswami is in his eternal seva. Everyone will think of the welfare of others. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj prays that everyone's mind may become gentle. Here, Lord Shiva is praised as the best of the gentle. One time, Srila Prabhupada was asked, what does it mean to be humble? And Prabhupada answered, to preach Krishna consciousness vigorously and strongly, defeating all types of atheism and opposing nonsensical arguments. That is humility. Because in this Kali Yuga, in particular, it is such a blinding confusion based on insidious, demoniac, ill motivation. We hear Parikshit Maharaj in the second chapter of the 12th canto describe the symptoms of Kali Yuga, and from a perhaps even profounder sense of personal realization, Bhumi Devi, Goddess Earth herself, it's described she cannot tolerate even one liar walking on the face of the globe. And in Kali Yuga, the four legs of religion, what is the last leg of religion that is left and being diminished and attacked day by day? Truthfulness. What is the main qualification of a Brahmin? Truthfulness. Who is it? The sage that he asked the young boy, tell me who is your father? And he went back to his mother, and the mother said, I honestly don't know who your father is because I've been with many men. This is, maybe not so much today. Maybe it's a badge of honor to admit such a thing. But in the Vedic age, this was a great source of shame, and you'd be like looked upon as the lowest outcast. So this young man went and reported this, and the great devotee, yes, I will make you my disciple because you were truthful. So here is another insight. This is told by one personality to Garuda, the symptoms of Kali Yuga. No one adheres to the duties of their caste, and the four ashrams or stages of life have also vanished. Every man and woman takes pleasure in rebelling against the Vedas. Huh? We try to introduce Krishna consciousness. This is some nice book. This is a nice idea. Everybody has like a snooty-tooty look on their face. The people who are more opulently situated look, one friend is telling, or family member, to others who are like astonished, never seen before, yeah, these people are brainwashed. These people are all cultists, they're all like, oh, okay, that's okay, I guess that's the explanation, right? Every man and woman takes pleasure in rebelling against the Vedas. Brahmins sell their sacred knowledge for profit. Money is the honey, and kings exploit their subjects. No one respects the wisdom of the scriptures. People follow whatever path they fancy. Who is that? Yato Matato Pat? Who is that? Ramakrishna? Whatever path you choose, that is all right. All good. And it gets worse. Hypocrites who engage in deceptive practices are hailed as saints. Those who steal the wealth of others are considered clever. And those who maintain a false facade of piety are seen as devout followers of tradition. Liars and those skilled in deception are praised as witty and intelligent in the Kali Yuga. Those who are wicked and have abandoned the path of the Vedas are mistakenly seen as wise and detached. Prabhupada says in one place that the cheaters and false gurus are so numerous in this age of Kali that sometimes we become perplexed how to go forward. And those with long nails and matted hair are hailed as renowned ascetics, despite their lack of true spiritual depth. So, this is a lengthy section of the Śrimad Bhāgavatam, and perhaps we could say it is the most instructive or facilitatory, not only because of its severity. We will see some very terrible things happen. very instructive to show the result of Vaishnava aparad, offensiveness, and the envious mentality, which is ultimately the root of this. We will see how Daksha will say so many things to substantiate based on his understanding of how he's in a superior position and how Lord Shiva is inferior, how he was disrespected by Lord Shiva, etc., etc., etc. In the next chapter, talks between Lord Shiva and Sati. Shiva is explaining to Sati the actual position of Daksha and giving her a general understanding of the position of envious persons. And of course, envy is based on false ego. One who is conducted by false ego and thus always distressed, both mentally and sensually, cannot tolerate the opulence of self-realized persons. We see this Ramachandra Khan, rich man. He was the zamindar, a leader, you know. Many people were subordinate to him. But he became so envious of the spiritual opulence of Haridas Thakur, they engaged in the most unnecessary, you know, like you see someone, okay, you know, you're not so happy with them, but then I'm going to make a whole intrigue, an illegal intrigue to try to destroy them. That requires a lot of, you know, time, effort, money, and also risk, because when the thing boomerangs back in your face, you know, as it did in the case of Ramachandra Khan, you're completely destroyed. Why do that? You know, that's in Kali Yuga. If you think the bad thought in your mind, the reaction is not given to you. It's a concession for this Kali Yuga. Only when you act on it. Being unable to rise to the standard of self-realization, he envies such persons as much as demons envy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vibhutimat Sadvam, Krishna tells to Arjuna at the end of the chapter, the opulence of the Absolute, 10 of the Bhagavad Gita. Everything that is beautiful and opulent and praiseworthy, it springs from but a spark of my pleasure. Every living entity, whatever they are doing, whatever a facility or ability they have, it comes from Krishna, who is the source of all beauty and all opulence. Therefore, Queen Kunti, she's glorifying Krishna in the first canto, chapter 8, that those who have the four main opulences, physical bodily beauty, which is something that you can only possess temporarily in the flash of youth. Aristocratic social standing, which also is finished at the time of death. Intelligence and richness, wealth. But they generally became puffed up by these things. But those who possess these things and don't become falsely proud, do not offend others, but remain humble, they are especially blessed by you. So Prabhupada says in this verse, which we will get to, this is 2 chapters away, for text 21 of the 3rd chapter, the real reason for the enmity between Lord Shiva and Daksha is explained here. Daksha was envious of Lord Shiva because of Shiva's high position as an incarnation of a quality of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and because Shiva was directly in contact with the Supersoul and therefore was honored and given a better sitting place than he. There were many other reasons also. Daksha, being materially puffed up, could not tolerate the high position of Lord Shiva. So his anger at Lord Shiva not standing up in his presence was only the final manifestation of his envy. Daksha was criticizing Lord Shiva, naked like a madman. He smears the ashes of the crematorium. He's associated with ghosts and demons and hobgoblins. And he was criticizing Lord Brahma because it was Lord Brahma's recommendation that he give his daughter Sati, who of course is the eternal consort of Lord Shiva. Actually, after she gave up her body, her next appearance was as Parvati, the daughter of the Himalayas. They're eternally associated. But she showed the example that I have received, seemingly, this material body from you, who are the emblem of all offense, and particularly to my beloved husband. I don't want to bear this body anymore, the shame of it, and I will give it up. Daksha then and there could have and should have stopped her from committing suicide, but he didn't. And Lord Shiva saw this as a much more severe offense on the part of Daksha, allowing Sati to kill herself like this, than the so-called insult to himself. And Lord Shiva, when he was being insulted, and then Bhrigu Muni and his own follower Nandishvar were cursing and counter-cursing each other, Lord Shiva remained silent, and he simply left the assembly. And Srila Prabhupada says that this conduct of Lord Shiva was ideal. But when it was understood that Sati had committed suicide, he became so angry, he ripped a bunch of hair from his head, threw it to the ground, and immediately this gigantic demon, I believe his name was Virabhadra, I am born from your body, master. I am your servant. Tell me what is to be done. Go to the sacrifice of Daksha and devastate the sacrificial yajna and kill Daksha. And all the other persons were bound or obligated to Daksha in either a real way or some imagined way, because they wanted to protect their own prestige and placement in the so-called Brahminical society, or the society of these persons. They also remained silent. And ultimately, it was only Sati's mother and sisters who, when they saw the incredible dust storm and darkness approaching, nobody could understand what's going on here, but they could understand that this is the harbinger of the reaction that Daksha will receive, and he must be prepared to die for his heinous act. Lord Shiva takes the charge of reforming persons who are ghosts and demons. He's giving his association to these persons. Krishna is so kind that even those who can't adopt the Brahminical standard, Lord Shiva takes their charge so they can be somehow or another elevated, benefited. And not just he gives association to the ghosts and demons, he is Vaishnava Yata Sambhu. The devotees pray to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is instrumental in the topmost place for the devotees of Krishna, Sri Vrindavan Dham. Gopishvar Mahadev. Reforming persons who are ghosts and demons, not to speak of others who are godly. Therefore, he is the spiritual master of everyone, both the dull and demoniac. They are popular both with the gentle and with the ruffians because they are not envious of anyone. Both the dull and demoniac and the highly learned Vaishnavas. Lord Shiva is the greatest of all Vaishnavas. On the one hand, he is the worshipful object of the dull demons, and on the other, he is the best of all Vaishnavas or devotees, and he has a sampradaya called the Rudra Sampradaya. Lord Shiva is given the thankless task. He was ordered, instructed by the Lord, you take the role of a Brahmin in Kali Yuga and propagate a philosophy to deviate the human race from myself. Shankaracharya. And he gave a clue at the end of his only 32-year presence on this planet. Bhaja Govindam, Mudamate. You fools, what will all your grammatical word jugglery do for you at the time of death? Worship Govinda. Even if he is an enemy or is sometimes angry, such a personality cannot be the object of envy. So Vidura, in astonishment, asked why he was taken as such, especially by Daksha. So there's much to be learned from this section of the Śrimad Bhāgavatam. Srila Prabhupada has given us everything to perform the most needed task at hand, personally and collectively, to get free from envy and reestablish ourselves with clean and pure hearts, with all good motivation, safely on the other side of the influence of this Kali Yuga. We think that we have met your goodness by the will of providence, just so that we may accept you as captain of the ship to guide us across the most dangerous ocean of Kali Yuga, which diminishes all the good qualities of the human being. Prabhupada has said in one place, the greatest act of charity and kindness or welfare work is to organize everyone in propagating the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya, propagating the movement of pure devotional service. So the chapter 5 is called Frustration of the Sacrifice of Daksha. So we could look at this sacrifice, and there wasn't really an emphasis or a focus on pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead in such a way that it benefits the fallen conditioned souls. So by that, there was so much room for false ego and envy. I want to be prominent, I want to be noticed, I want to be put in the better position, me first, not you, I'm better than you, you're inferior to me. So Prahlad Maharaj, he's praying to Lord Nrsingadev, may all envious persons be pacified. By practicing Bhakti Yoga, instead of being envious of each other, they will become the well-wisher. They will be thinking of the welfare of others. Spreading Krishna consciousness is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. Therefore, no, that's not the one I want to read. Preaching is the best service to the Lord. The Lord will immediately be extremely satisfied with one who engages in this service of preaching Krishna consciousness. This is confirmed by the Lord himself in the Bhagavad Gita 1869. Nacha tasman manusheshu kastyan me priya kritamaha. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. If one sincerely tries his best to spread Krishna consciousness by preaching the glories of the Lord and his supremacy, Prabhupada was asked, what is the symptom of one who loves Krishna? And Prabhupada replied boldly, quickly, he didn't have to think for a long time on this one, said that one who loves Krishna wants to see that his Lord's name and fame is spread all over the world. Even if he is imperfectly educated, he becomes the dearmost servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is bhakti. As one performs this service for humanity without discrimination between friends and enemies, the Lord becomes satisfied and the mission of one's life is fulfilled. That is chapter 6, what Prahlad learned in the womb, instructed by Narada Muni, telling his classmates, 7th canto, chapter 24. So, the concluding chapter of this section, 7, the sacrifice performed by Daksha. So, Lord Shiva sent the great demon Virabhadra. Actually, it was predicted that because of this offense, Daksha will die and he will be brought back to life, but he will have the head of a goat. So everything, but the benefit, even though he had the head of the goat, his mentality was right. And he offered very, very nice and sincere prayers, begging forgiveness from Lord Shiva. Then the sacrifice was begun again with Lord Shiva there present. So after insulting Lord Shiva previously, he arranged the sacrifice with no place, no sitting place. Lord Shiva wasn't invited. It's like, how can you perform an activity to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead if some of his chief followers, what to speak of the representative spiritual masters, are insulted and uninvited? How can you expect to have any success? Or what to speak of, you can expect to have very bad things happen because of that. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, just see the beautiful Artik ceremony of Lord Chaitanya taking place on the bank of the Jahnavi River. Lord Shiva, Shukadeva Goswami, they're there and their voices are choked in loving emotion. Just see the opulence of Lord Chaitanya. When everything was set right, Lord Vishnu appeared in the reformed and properly done sacrifice of Prajapati Daksha. And Bhrigu Muni, the chief follower of Prahlad Maharaj, Prabhupada says, he offered his prayers too. Bhrigu Muni was conscious of the scandalous activity of each and every one of them in the assembly. And Prabhupada cautions us to always be aware of how we're behaving, how we're acting, the tone of our voice, our words, our subtle bodily movements. So I'm going to conclude the class by looking at a prayer directed directly in the presence of Lord Vishnu in this chapter 7, where Prabhupada describes the real sacrifice in this Kali Yuga. Actually, it's in the... This is chapter 6. Brahma satisfies Lord Shiva. So after the followers of Lord Shiva devastated the arena of Daksha and killed Daksha and injured and, let's say, physically deformed others who were guilty in participating in the great aparad, they asked Lord Brahma to go and try to pacify Lord Shiva. So that's this chapter. So Rama is finally concluding, he's saying to Lord Shiva, "O destroyer of the sacrifice, please take your portion of the sacrifice and let the sacrifice be completed by your grace." The performance of yajna is a very difficult task because all the demigods must be invited to participate in the yajna. In this Kali Yuga, it is not possible to perform such costly sacrifices, nor is it possible to invite the demigods to participate. Therefore, in this age, it is recommended Yagnai Sankirtana Prayer Yajanti Hi Sumedasaha. Those who are intelligent should know that in Kali Yuga there is no possibility of performing the Vedic sacrifices. But unless one pleases the demigods, there will be no regulated seasonal activities or rainfall. Everything is controlled by the demigods under the circumstances in this age in order to keep the balance of social peace and prosperity. All intelligent men should execute the performance of Sankirtan Yajna by chanting the holy names Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is 4th canto, 6th chapter, the last verse of the chapter 53, for your noting. One should invite people, not just the established devotees, but the people. Chant Hare Krishna and then distribute prasad. This yajna will satisfy the demigods, and thus there will be peace and prosperity in the world. Another difficulty in performing the Vedic rituals is that if one fails to satisfy even one demigod out of the many hundreds of thousands of demigods, just as Daksha failed to satisfy Lord Shiva, there will be disaster. But in this age, the performance of sacrifice has been simplified. One can chant Hare Krishna, and by pleasing Krishna, one can satisfy all the demigods automatically. Prabhupada says here, to keep the balance of social peace and prosperity. So the main thrust of Srila Prabhupada's movement is distribution of Krishna consciousness. Actually, in our, just after Mangalartik, we're looking at the 10th canto right now, and the concluding paragraph of the verse that we're presently reading, the word kriyasu, by manual labor or work, is significant in this regard. Everything in our Krishna consciousness movement is centered on distributing Krishna literature. One can approach anyone and induce them to read Krishna literature so that in the future they will become devotees also. So when we all come together in Sankirtan, this is the best facility or opportunity that whatever envy or hostility or lack of appreciation or narrow-mindedness, short-sightedness can be practically done away with, erased, and everyone can gain the opposite of those things: appreciation, mutual respect, regard, kindness, etc., etc. Srila Prabhupada very much emphasized, and this is how the movement began and spread, by everyone coming together to perform the Yuga Dharma chanting the holy names, and if the other two main aspects of distribution can be done simultaneously, all the better, book distribution and prasad distribution. The verse once again. Vidur uvacha bhave shilavatam shreste daksho durtir vatsala vedvasham akarot kasmad andrit yatmajam satim. Vidur inquired, why was Daksha, who was so affectionate toward his daughter, envious of Lord Shiva, who was the best among the gentle? Why did he neglect his daughter Sati? Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments on this profound subject matter? Urugaya Prabhu, your hand is up first, or at least I'm seeing your hand first. So please speak in a loud and clearly understandable voice your question so I can hear it and understand it to the best of my ability. I can't hear you at all.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for your class.
And speak slowly also.
Okay. Did you say that in order to
That's not slow. That's not slow enough.
in order to worship Radha Krishna, we need to worship Lord Shiva first?
I said that? I don't believe I said that.
Okay. Then, I misunderstood. I'm sorry.
Any other questions? Divyangi.
Thank you so much for the very nice class. Thank you very much. So this pastime with Sati and Lord Shiva seems like a very extreme when, she gave up her body because of the envy of Daksha. And I was just thinking, how can we practically recognize this envy in us or in others before something extreme happens?
How can you recognize it? As someone is doing something which is very pleasing to the spiritual master. It's clear the person is what is it? They even have a saying, never judge someone else until you walk a mile in their shoes. Do you know what they're going through? There's a very beautiful verse by Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami. It's either in the last, I believe it's in the last chapter. Maybe not maybe it's the 19th chapter of the Antya Lila, and it's describing that the things that a devotee goes through, his inner meditation, his mode of progress, is very difficult to understand, and it's very, very attractive. It's so attractive to Krishna that he comes as a devotee to fully understand it. So we understand that Krishna is coming as Lord Chaitanya to understand the inner feelings of Srimati Radharani, but as Srimati Radharani is the via media for all of us, all of our devotional service, she's the via media to Krishna. So simultaneously, as Lord Krishna is coming as Lord Chaitanya to understand as best he can and to relish and rejoice in the beautiful moods of Srimati Radharani. Simultaneously, he's coming to understand what we're going through also as Lord Chaitanya. So we should be as sincere as possible in our own designated devotional service. It's not that devotional service is just like a big free-for-all, a big party, whatever I like, I do, I feel like it. I'm here now, but then I'm going to go over there and this and that. Bhadri Narayan Swami, he told me that he wrote a letter to Srila Prabhupada. He had some idea, it was kind of a crazy idea, and what to do and where to go. I'm not going to say what it was. And it was many years ago, very early on, in Bhadri Narayan Maharaj's long and praiseworthy devotional career. Prabhupada said, he didn't answer specifically or directly to him, he just made this general statement that it's very pleasing to me when devotees choose a service and dedicate their entire life to it. So, Lord Chaitanya Antaryami, we hear things like, from Prabhupada's own lotus mouth, that you were all directed to take your birth here in the Western countries, either by Krishna and or my spiritual master arranged for you to take this birth, to appear here, to come and help me when I came. So we should try to find out, what does Krishna want for us? Why did I take my birth in the particular, why am I here? Why am I, there must be a reason. There's always going to be struggle and problem in the material world, especially in this Kali Yuga. So we shouldn't be like running away from, whatever it is or it was, it's some minor inconvenience. And if we are sincere, we will recognize the desire of the Lord upon us and understanding that blessing. Even Krishna wants to toy with us, as he did with Madhavendra Puri. I want you to go from Govardhan all the way to Orissa. Well, North India was under, heinous Muslim rule in the 1500s or late 1400s. No cars, no trains, walking on foot, the jungles of Bihar. If the dacoits don't get you, then lions and tigers and bears, oh my, you have to, He made it all the way to Orissa. But then Krishna revealed to him, you're going to get into trouble coming back. He went empty-handed. Now he's coming back with all of this weight. He's going to have to carry it. He said, you apply the sandalwood to the body of Gopinath here in Ramuna and Orissa, and that will cool me in Govardhan, the Gopal deity, rescued from the bushes. And Lord Chaitanya describing, and Krishna did this to illustrate the sincerity of Madhavendra Puri. And Lord Chaitanya telling the story to Lord Nityananda and his other associates in the temple of Shirachor Gopinath in Ramuna, he was so much moved to ecstasy that he ecstatic symptoms that he couldn't control. He fainted in the arms of Lord Nityananda. And Lord Shiva himself was the greatest example of his gentleness and his concern for others. The saintly devotees, the spiritual masters, the pure devotees of Krishna, they sacrificed their lives for the benefit of others. That is the position of non-envy. Srila Prabhupada, he was speaking Uttama Shloka. I was hearing his Prabhupada meditation. I think maybe it was Toronto. Or I don't know the exact location. Prabhupada spoke with a man in his house from 7:30 at night till 11:30 at night. And he was just like championing or espousing and arguing all this Mayavadi philosophy. And Prabhupada just finally just called him, "You are a fool." Called him a mudha, you're a rascal, you know, you don't accept. Very heavy. The man didn't become angry. He fell down at Prabhupada's feet. He put his head on Prabhupada's feet. And he became one of the staunchest supporters of Srila Prabhupada. And still to this day, 50 or more years later, all his family members. One time in a university setting with scholars, they asked, why is it that we can't recognize Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead? And Prabhupada said, that's because you're either a Naradama, a Mayaprita Jnana Game 715. You're the lowest of mankind, one whose knowledge is stolen. He just didn't hope, but nobody would get angry because Prabhupada is doing this out of sheer concern for the other person's welfare. You know, like reporters would meet Prabhupada and, you know, expect to get a slick media package and, like, you know, to talk to, but Prabhupada would talk to the individual, see that spirit soul, and speak to them what they could hear. Charudas in Australia, they brought someone who they thought was a good news person, interviewer, and Prabhupada spent hours with this person. And then the next day, the headline, it said, "Swami says I will be dog in my next life." It was just like a tongue-in-cheek article, and they said, "Prabhupada, you gave so much time to this man, and this is what he did?" And Prabhupada said, he heard the article, "How many times did he say the name Krishna in this article?" And they looked it up. Oh, about like 25 times. 25 times. What is the readership of this newspaper? Oh, maybe about like 300,000, 400,000. What is 400,000 times, what did I say, 25, 40? So the name of Krishna has been heard and read, you know, millions of times. What could be bad about that? It is said that great saintly persons always accept voluntary suffering because of the suffering of the people in general. This is considered the highest method of worshiping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is present in everyone's heart. Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Shri Shri Radha Govinda Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. All of you Ki Jai. Vanchakalpatarubhis Chakrabhis Indriya Chapati Ram Pavanebhyo Vaishnaveyo Namo Namaha.